Use a large flathead screwdriver to loosen the two screws attaching the load head to the LECO. The screws are captive and will not come out completely. Squeeze the two silver tabs on the gas connector that feeds gas to the load head and disconnect it from the case of the machine. Lift the load head off of the machine. Remove the lance tool from its spot on the top of the load head and thread it into one of the 8 holes surrounding the top of the lance. Be careful, the base of the lance is extremely hot, 950 degrees Celsius. Place the lance in a heat-proof container, such as this steel bucket inside a stainless steel sink. To remove the crucible from the furnace tube, you'll use the Crucible tool, which is inserted into one end of the crucible, and the handles are squeezed, forcing the other end of the tool open, allowing the crucible to be lifted out. Use this to pull the hot crucible out of the furnace tube, and carefully place the crucible into the same heat-proof container that you put the lance in. Use the same tool to insert a fresh crucible into the furnace. Insert the Crucible tool along the edge of the furnace tube until it touches the upper edge of your crucible. Mark the depth with your thumb and compare it to the length of the lance assembly. They should be within a 1/4 inch of each other in length. If not, some adjustments need to be made. If the new crucible is sitting too low, you'll need to replace the glass wool supporting the crucible, using this glass wool extractor tool. The threaded end is twisted into the glass wool to allow it to be lifted out of the furnace tube. Thread the tool into the old quartz wool and pull it out of the furnace tube. Then dispose of it in the heat-proof container you used earlier. Prepare a new strip of quartz wool, not glass wool, by separating it from the package and then rolling it from end to end. Snag the new roll of quartz wool on the end of the tool, and then use the tool to insert it into the furnace tube. Reinsert the crucible and check the depth again. If the crucible was sitting too high, simply tamp it down with the end of the crucible and check the height again. When the crucible is at the right depth, reinsert the lance assembly and remove the lance tool from the lance assembly. When the lance is reinserted, make sure that both O-rings are in place and in good condition. Put the load head back in place and tighten both of the screws. Use a screwdriver to tighten them just until the threads begin to bind. Push the gas connector back into place. This can take a little bit of force. Remember that the crucible will still be dangerously hot, even after it quits glowing orange. When everything is reconnected, Go to Diagnostics and Leak Checks and run an oxygen system leak check to make sure that everything is sealed properly.